What if we're very attached to a certain situation or an outcome, Stephanie? Because that's when it gets really challenging because we want things to work out a certain way. And we're like, it's difficult to really tap into our guidance because we have a tendency to project what we want to see in the world when we're so fixated on things working out a certain way. So what do you advise your clients in such situations?
Yeah, this is a big one because we all have attachments, and I don't believe we're going to rid ourselves of them, try as we might. So, when I'm teaching people, for example, one of the things that I teach in my classes a lot is I teach people how to start with using a pendulum for
Mm.
answers that, yes or no answers, and we take it further. And I always tell them, if you have any attachment to a response, don't ask it as your
Yeah.
Lord, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because, and I joke, but I'll say, don't hold your pendulum and say, should I marry Charlie? Because you're not going to be able to separate yourself
Yeah, it's
from,
too difficult.
right? It's too hard. And we're
Yeah.
human, so we're going to have attachment. In those situations where you recognize I'm not neutral here, not even close to neutral here, either have someone else, a mentor or someone who's trusted, who knows you, or can attune to you, support you in this and give you feedback, because I feel like we oftentimes, if we're in our own internal feedback loop, we're not actually learning, we're just repeating beliefs that we've probably had for most of our lives. That's not useful when we're trying to tap into what's here for our wisdom and what our guidance wants us to know. So get some support, get some help. And the way you ask for guidance, especially like if in the example of using a pendulum, instead of saying, should I marry Charlie? What you can say is, does it serve my highest good to remain in this relationship with Charlie?
Oh,
That's a total
oh, that's
yes.
that tweak makes all the difference.
All the difference, because that's actually all we ever really need to know. What is in the service to the highest good for yourself and for all involved? And you can get those answers much more clear when you know how to language the questions.
Oh, I love that. I personally love reading tarot cards and oracle
Mhm.
cards. Those serve as a huge source of guidance for me, and I'm able to channel a lot when I use them. But they are challenging to use when I am attached to a certain outcome, and it's like, no, that's not what I want to see. Yeah,
Exactly. I'll just pick another card. That must
I'll
have been
just
the wrong.
pick another card, and I'll get all yeah,
I've
it
done
just
that.
yeah, I'll get all constricted, and I'm like, oh no, no, it's
Yeah. Yeah. And then the fearful mind takes over and comes up with worst case
exactly.
scenarios. It's a mess.
Yeah,
We
it's
are.
a mess. I personally experienced it, and I found a way to do away with that by hiring a reader whenever I need that support and
That's right.
an objective person to help me see the situation in a
That's
more
right. There, absolutely.
detached.
I mean, I love having people channel for me. I love having a team, others that I can rely upon, because I only know such a limited amount based on my limited experience here as a human in this lifetime. So yeah, that's why we have all these helpers around.
Yeah, absolutely. And something I heard you speak about in your TED Talk is about generating the right brain waves to tap into our intuition. I found that very interesting. Tell us more about that. How does that work?
Yeah. So what I'm getting at in that, and in the big, the body of work that I teach and study, is we have two hemispheres of our brain. We have a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere. The left hemisphere is logic, problem solving. It's linear, time oriented, and it's great. right? And it's really robust in most cultures because most cultures that I'm familiar with value the left hemispheric thinking, the logical mind. Then we have the right side, the right hemisphere, and it is creative, receptive, playful, intuitive. And that, at least in the culture I'm most familiar with, is underutilized. And so we have a very well utilized left hemisphere with logic and a less utilized right hemisphere with creativity and intuition and playfulness. And this is an imbalance. When I'm channeling, I am using the right hemisphere. It is not something that this is not logic that I'm attending, tuning to. It's intuition, it's spirit, it's that it's the vastness of all, which is what the right hemisphere is really wonderful with. It's really gifted with being able to assist us in tuning into that. So I like to teach people that difference and that our left hemisphere doesn't need any more work. It's usually great. We don't have to practice more of that, but the right hemisphere does need more opportunities to grow, to become strengthened. Art is a way to do that. Any creative pursuit you can think of will help that right hemisphere. And meditation and seeing, visualizations, etc. All of this comes from that creative aspect of the right hemisphere. So that's what I'm referring to with the right brain, left brain sort of thing.
And it seems like our education system is, it's set up in a way to completely train just the left side of the brain. Like we don't, it's like that's the muscle that they focus on building the most. And it's no wonder that we're sort of lagging with the other side and why it's something that doesn't come naturally to us.
You're absolutely right. And it's sad because children, when left to their own nature, they're very intuitive
Oh,
and
yeah.
enormously creative. And kids can see spiritual presence a lot of times and say, like, no, I see grandpa over there. He's, even though he's not alive anymore. Yeah, he came to visit me, or he's right there hovering about talking. Kids will say this
I
and
know.
that's their
Yeah.
experience. It's beautiful. So yeah, it gets squashed out of us from a very young age.
Yeah, I remember that TED Talk with Ken Robinson where he talks about how schools kill creativity and
Mhm.
the people just think that all of this, like tapping into our intuition and going into that space might be a bit woo-woo. So
Oh
I'm sure you
yeah.
come across that a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of conditioning. I think maybe you were
Conditioning,
looking
that's
for
the
that
word.
word.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, there's social conditioning, societal conditioning, religious conditioning, and depending on what you're exposed to and how much of it a lot of us are taught to fear channeling, right? Like, oh, I have a dear friend. I love her so much. And because of her religious background and fearful orientation to certain things, she prays for my safety all the time, knowing that I channel because she's
Okay.
worried that, yeah, I mean, I'll take it. Thank you. Anyone that wants to pray for me, of course, I receive that. But it's, her worry is fear that of darkness or what she has been exposed to in her religious beliefs and upbringing. So yeah, this is it's I acknowledge that this is hard for some people to find their way to safety within, and yet it is the essence of all of us. It's the beauty of being a soul, having a human experience, is this spiritual aspect of us, which is perfectly beautiful.
To your friend's point, is it important to protect ourselves from negative energies that might kind of uh, impact us while we are channeling?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, definitely. And it's not because there's some evil lurking trying to grab onto us. I'm not trying to give that image at all. But just like you wouldn't engage in a lengthy conversation in a small space with a person who you feel really uncomfortable with, or who is enraged or angry or just not stable, also I believe I don't want to leave myself open to whatever energy happens to be around at any time. So I call it energetic hygiene. And I feel like we have, all of us, an individual responsibility to have the energetic hygiene that we can. And so even if I'm going somewhere in public, actually, especially when I'm going out in public, I will ask my guides of protection to just bubble me, just surround me, deflect whatever is not in service to my highest good, let it bounce off, fall away. I do this before I go grocery shopping. I do this before I go to dense venues where there's going to be a ton of people, because I do happen to be highly, highly sensitive to the
Yeah.
energies of others.
Same here.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. We have to.
Yeah.
Do you do something to protect yourself?
I actually only do that when I know I'm going to encounter someone who's a bit iffy, who I feel like who may not have my best
Mm.
have best intentions at heart. So that's when I do it.
Yeah.
But I think I need to do it more often because my gym tends to get really crowded. And when I'm there and it's like a lot of people, the music's really loud and it can drain me. Like so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes, I think it's really smart for us to do it just kind of across the board. And the other thing is we have guides that do this for us. So tell them, like they're sitting here waiting for instructions. And I always tell people you want bored spirit guides. So give them their tasks, ask them, thank them. They do support us and protect us and surround us and give us this sense, I feel, a greater sense of well-being. Once I do that quick process or have a quick conversation with them, I feel like I can expand my own energy field more easily and even take up more space because it's loving space, and go on into that Costco or grocery store and find what I need and leave. And my heart feels lighter. And you're right, it's very draining when we absorb a lot. It's very draining.